Welcome to this video for the skirmish game Legend of Mythra by Mindstone Games. Today I just want to show you my 750 point Kingdom of Mythra army. It's a bit on the large side, typical battles are 500 points, but I want to show you the full spread of forces. So let me talk you through what we have here. At the front we have 5 heroes. Now in Legend of Mythra you can take 1 hero for every 100 points. So in a 750 point game you can take up to 7 heroes. Heroes in this game are more like very powerful warriors. They don't have auras or special commands or anything like that. They're more just like models with higher stats basically. In the middle there you've got a lord with great sword. On his left side is a knight with a halberd, on his right side a Templar, and then flanking them on either side we've got 2 casters, a Eldravissi on the right, a college mage, and a Valaki on the left, a sorceress. These casters cost quite a lot of points, more than regular heroes, and they have access to a magic lore. Magic on its own is not super powerful, but it is a very useful force multiplier, so you can improve your troops or get a spell that can pierce through armor or something like that. So this is quite a magic heavy army with 2 mages, a lot of points invested in them, but that's kind of how I like playing. So then we've got core troops, which is basically more or less everything else you can see here. Core troops, there's no restrictions except for restrictions in the army list. Like some things might be 0 to 10 or 0 to 5. That will be stated in the army list. And also, only half of your models can be missile troops. So this army is quite missile heavy. At the back here, we've got some militia crossbowmen, bowmen, and then on this side, you might not be able to see them very clearly. I'll bring the camera in later. We've got some mounted nobles and longbowmen. But basically, whilst this army is missile heavy, it's not over 50% missile troops, so it's a legal force. So I'll just talk you through the core troops quickly. You can see here we've got some mounted men at arms with lances. They have got 2+ saves. They're tanks. They've got shock troops. They're really good, but they're quite expensive. Cavalry only have 1 wound in this game, so against the wrong opponents who've got lots of armor-piercing weapons or magic attacks, your mounted men at arms could suffer. The real kind of cream of this army are behind them, the infantry men at arms. You've got a mixture of melee weapons, swords, battle axe and shield, great axes which can cleave through armor, and then in the rear ranks we've got more long weapons like spears and halberds. In Legend of Mythra, weapons like halberds, pikes, lances, spears, long reach weapons, they've got 2-inch range and they strike first. So they're basically the king of the battlefield, or the king of the melee phase anyway. So they're also very expensive. So you're going to want your long weapon troopers to be covered or wearing full plate armor like these men at arms. They don't need a shield. They've got 2+ save no matter what, so you can have halberds and not have to worry. But generally speaking, having like a great axe or halberd, it does make you more vulnerable to missile fire. Just on this side here, you can see these guys in their kind of brown uniforms. They are militia. Some have got hand weapons, some have got spears. Mythra militia, they're quite good. They're quite well trained. They got skill 4+, they hit on 4+, armor 5+ with a shield. They're good against missiles. They're cheap. It's quite important in this game to have lots of models on the board. You have to capture objectives, you have to hold up enemies, sacrifice troops, that kind of thing. So numbers is important. If you had all men at arms, it'd be a terrifying proposition against an enemy with no armor-piercing weapons, but you'd struggle to capture objectives and hold them. So numbers is important. Just behind those militia, you can see some warriors with shields. Warriors are 1 step up from militia. They hit on 3+. They've got a 3+ save with shield, so it'll be 2+ against missiles. And as you can see, they're covering these guys at the back. Those are archers. So archers are exceptional longbowmen, basically. They're very expensive though. So archery is quite powerful in this game, but against well shielded targets, it's quite expensive and not so good. And you know, your very expensive archers like those longbowmen need covering, and that's what's happening there. Behind them, we've got 3 mounted nobles with crossbows and swords. Mounted nobles, they're in low quality plate armor, so they've got a 3+ save instead of a 2+. But as you can see, their line of sight in this game is literal, so they can see over the heads of their fellow infantry, but they can also be targeted. So it's a kind of double-edged sword. Mounted archers, quite expensive, but obviously you can get them to where they need to be. Then we've got the only monster in the list. This is a War Wyvern. You can only have one monster for every 250 points. So in a 750 point battle, you can have up to 3 monsters. All monsters cause fear, and I think they count as 3 models each for capturing objectives. They all have different qualities. The Wyvern, the main thing about the Wyvern is its sting. It's got 3-inch range, hits on 2+, and goes straight through armor, -3 to your armor. So the Wyvern is actually good to put behind a shield wall, like with its sting going over the top, causing carnage. But yeah, monsters are quite rare. Causing fear is the only type of morale in this game, because obviously it's a skirmish game, so each model represents one model. It's only when you're causing fear, when you're facing fear-causing enemies, that you have to test morale. So yeah, I'll go into details in another video how that stuff works. Let's just finish off this army. On this side, there's another warrior, and then there's a load of shock troopers around them. There's 5 shock troopers. These guys are like warriors. They've got the same skill, 3+, but they carry 2-handed weapons. So you've got 2 great axes there and 3 halberds at the back. These troops are very good halberdiers. They're my favourite troop as well. 2-inch range, strike first, -1 armor penetration. They can get through plate armor if they have to, but they're expensive. And warriors with 2-handed weapons are vulnerable to arrows, javelins, that kind of thing, because they don't have a shield. So they're only going to have a 4+ save there. So they're quite expensive, but they hit hard. But you've got to kind of shelter them a bit. Behind them we have some militia crossbowmen. These guys are fairly expensive, as archers are. With crossbows can't move and shoot, but they've got -1 armor penetration, so they can take out armored targets. I quite like crossbowmen, but slightly more effective, I think, depending on who you're facing, but slightly more effective are these militia bowmen at the back. Again, militia are decent. They hit on 4+ with their bows. With bows, you can move up to half your distance and shoot. It's at -1 to hit, but still, it's very useful. Generally speaking, in Legend of Mythra, your archers aren't going to be stationary standing at the back. They're going to be moving. You're going to want to move them so they can see enemy halberdiers, enemy great weapons. They can pick off mages and that kind of thing, and also so they can capture objectives. Some games you're going to want to charge your archers in against a very powerful foe to sacrifice them or that kind of thing. So archers are quite mobile in this game. You can fire into combat as well. It's very risky. You roll to hit. If you hit your enemy. If you miss, you automatically hit your ally. So it can backfire quite badly. But yeah, that is basically a 750 point Legend of Mythra army. And I'm going to be going into specifics like what different weapons do in a future tutorial, and I might be able to get some battle reports and stuff up, but for now, that is the army. I'll just show you guys some more close-ups.